Hi, my name is Catherine D. Henry, and I'm here on behalf of Media Monks to talk about making the metaverse and an outlook for 2022. First, a note about who we are. We're Media Monks. Born at the dawn of the .com era, digital media is in our DNA. We have a full spectrum strategic, creative, social, production, and data analytics agency operating everywhere. Some 53 offices around the world, 6,000 people, all uniquely on a single API, which means you can draw from any one of our experts anywhere in the world to help you solve whatever your challenges you'd like to address. And we're kind of known to be pretty good at it. So they say that if it happens on a screen or in the metaverse, there's a good chance we're behind it, which is why today I want to talk to you about the metaverse. I mean, what even is that? It is an awful word for something actually very simple. We've put together an outline, a report on what it is and how businesses can use it and how it can help brands transform their business activities to this next stage of the internet. So here's the thing. Mark Zuckerberg and many other companies, Epic, Niantic, they're all talking about the metaverse and being metaverse companies. As I said, it sounds pretty complicated, but here's the thing. It's effectively just the next stage of the virtual internet. Virtualization, that's it. It means the first stage of the internet was all about taking books and paper and putting them onto the internet, a flat surface, and you would just click through pages. But then finally, they figured out how to add video and rich media. And now the third stage of the internet means we can add virtualization, which means we feel as if we're really there, we're present. This is a really exciting moment because we now understand how to bring content into this 3D world and how to engage and excite our users. So when it comes to merging the physical and the digital worlds into this virtual world, it's not as though we have much of a choice. It is the next stage of the internet. It's not if or how, but when. So today I want to talk to you about some of the big trends, the numbers that we see driving this force. Now, the metaverse has already begun. We're talking about XR, that's virtual reality, augmented reality, and basically XR means all of the realities. Virtual reality, and I'm going to give you a hint here, when it comes to thinking about the difference between virtual and augmented reality, many of you will know this already, but virtual reality means the world vanishes. You put on this headset and the world vanishes. You just become completely submerged into this magical realm where anything can happen. With augmented reality, it's like putting on a pair of glasses and I can still see the frame, but I can also see the rest of the world. So with virtual, the world vanishes. Augmented means I can also see the rest of the world. XR means kind of all this stuff together. So this industry altogether is some $18 billion, growing at the 64% annualized rate. There's already a huge ad spend in AR and lots of upside opportunity for virtual reality advertising. And we'll address that in another report. But let me tell you that 200, almost 300 million people use Snap daily. That's augmented reality. There are 26 million people have VR in the United States, and almost 20% of the US population uses VR. So it's already a thing and it's growing. And like any media, you have new rules. So we have all sorts of new technologies, and we thought that the best way to really bring it home for you is by identifying 10 key trends that you can use as a framework to develop your strategy on how to take advantage of this new virtual economy. So again, if virtualization is the merger between the physical and the digital, then we also can expect as people start to upload their lives and merge their real lives with this virtual life that they have online, we're seeing an emergence of two key things. The first is new identities and communities. And so we're seeing avatars, we're seeing communities, people, like-minded people gathering on different platforms so they can share information. And so I said before, there are 300 million Snapchat users, so they're using AR on a daily basis. But more than that, we're also moving online to 200 million Roblox users, 10% of those are in VR. We're seeing some 58 million monthly VR users. And in Rec Room alone, which is a VR platform, they spend some 2.7 hours on average. So we're starting to live more of our lives in these virtual worlds. And what that means for brands is you need to start planning how you're going to interact with these communities and which platforms you want to select. So just as before, you'd have to think whether or not you wanted to be on Insta or Snap or Facebook or Google. Now you have to think of these as new ways of engaging with your consumer base. Virtual influencers are also a thing. Now, we already know about influencers. We've spent $14 billion on influencers in the United States in 2021 alone. But did you know about the emergence of virtual influencers? It's a thing. In Japan, for example, in 2018, there were only 200 virtual influencers and celebrities. Now there are over 9,000, almost eclipsing their domestic celebrity base. The trend is rising in China as well. And the United States is no different. Lil Miquela is a US-based, she's an international hit. She has a global fan base, and she made $12 million alone last year. So the implication for brands is you can create your own virtual influencer or your own community ambassador to engage the social base that expects more information. They expect 24-hour content and engagement in this new embodied internet. Mirror worlds. So virtual platforms are effectively like internet sites, only one key difference, they're not. So like any other media that precedes it, we tend to think that we need to design the new one like the last one. So when it came to the first wave of the internet, we were using the internet a lot like books or a stack of papers. And then we added media. And then we added apps, but we were designing them like our websites. Let's not make the same mistake. Virtual environments can be highly realistic. I can recreate the streets of Paris, put on a headset and feel as though I'm there. Every brick on the wall, every cup of coffee at the cafe can look absolutely realistic. But here's the thing. Why be realistic in a medium where the laws of physics don't even apply? We need to think about using this medium, as Marshall McLuhan said, the medium is the message. Think of using this medium for the properties that it offers. It is a magical realm and therefore has magical creative possibilities to create delight and engagement and awe and wonder for your consumers. So think about gamification, think about discovery, think about creating these new magical worlds for the spaces they are. And for that, find people who know how to create magic and wonder with this new medium. Rich data. So a lot of people are concerned about not getting the data that they want in VR or AR. And let me tell you something. You absolutely can get rich data. In fact, at the moment, probably too much data, if I'm honest, because the VR headset not only maps your room and knows where you live, but also within 20 minutes, VR can give 2 million impressions of your body, of your movements, of your thoughts. It can track your gaze. It can even do heat mapping. So when you're looking at something for a very long time, it knows you're interested. And so in addition to that, according to a study by the University of Stanford, that in 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, your body signature, your movements in VR can actually identify you. So we know that there's a lot of rich data out there. And the good news is that if you design an experience right, people will want to dwell in there. They'll want to engage. They'll want to give you access. Of course, we need to use that responsibly. Number 5, the Chinese metaverse. Now, most people think of the metaverse as being driven out of the United States by all the major players, the FANGs of the world, Facebook, Apple, et cetera, et cetera. What I'm here to suggest to you today is that China is developing its own metaverse. In fact, they may be pretty much there. I consider WeChat as a prototype for the metaverse. Hear me out. China has over 4 times the population of the United States, and 36% of them are under 34 years old. So that's roughly Gen Z. But the difference is their Gen Z is almost 500 million people. So that's a lot of people. And all of those people are in one app. And that app is already interoperable. You can do everything from buying oranges off of a street vendor to buying a new car on your mobile phone. You can even get a divorce on that same app. So it does pretty much everything. And they've got one payment system, WePay. So this highly diversified, interoperable system with integrated payments is already the basis of a metaverse. The only thing that's missing is the headset. So what I'm suggesting for brands, and this is the important implication, is that going forward, we may have to develop two sets of data, two sets of user interaction, two sets of activities and assets for two separate metaverses. Metaverse, who knows? Digital goods. Digital goods are no longer just digital and physical. Again, it's the bridge between the both, virtualization. So what does that mean for digital assets? Well, a lot of assets, say clothing, are developed now with 3D. So designers are doing a lot of this in 3D, so why not use those assets to create digital goods? The demand for digital goods online for gaming skins and for clothing is very high. We're already seeing retailers stake out a presence on the internet. But here's the thing. These objects now have different creative possibilities. And so brands have to think even beyond that. The possibilities are very, very great for them to expand their remit. So for example, a dress can be a VIP pass. A dress can be a digital asset, but it can also be an asset that tells a story. It can tell the heritage of the house that made it. The dress can be on fire. It's an experience. And then, or maybe you can co-create. It's paint that's on fire and you change the colors every few minutes. And then you share it. Maybe you're wearing it and it changes colors. There are millions of things you can do with these objects that you couldn't do before. But importantly, these can now create a bridge between access and ownership. That same dress gives you access to all the VIP events that say Gucci or Prada or Vuitton, whatever event they have in your worldwide, then you've got front row seats. And so we really need to think about linking the access to the ownership through utility. Major trend. And NFTs are core to that. So if you think about the world, you walk out the street in any city, there are multiple different stores, marketplaces, if you will. And you can buy a whole range of things. You can go to the 99-cent store, or you can go to the really expensive store in the city. It can be, I don't know, in New York would be Bergdorf Goodman or formerly Barney's. The point is there's a whole range of price points for a range of goods. And so if you think about Charmin toilet paper and Christian Dior, there isn't much in common with these two objects, but they all can have NFTs. Whatever your product is, you can have an NFT. So I liken it to treasure in the basement. If you think about whatever your IP is, and by the way, NFTs aren't just art. NFTs can be anything, any object, any icon, any photo, any video moment in the world. It can be that last minute in a playoff in a game like the NFL, or when they do a touchdown and suddenly they've won the entire season, and maybe in its historic moment, that moment can be an NFT. So what we're saying is no matter your industry or your company, you have something that you can sell. So consider the rich treasure that you have in your basement and think about how we can customize that as NFT, and we'd be happy to help you. It gets more complicated when you look at the digital currencies. And this is where we spent a lot of time looking at the storefronts, the platforms, the markets, and the protocols. Is it Ethereum or is it another digital currency? What are the risks? What are the environmental impacts? And so digital currencies are here to stay. The question is, how do you play with them in these platforms? Or conversely, do you want to create your own? There are multiple considerations, but with every consideration, it means it opens the door to new opportunity. Gen Z, or what I call Gen Me, is basically, it's a generation of builders, creators, gamers. And in fact, in a survey done by Facebook earlier in June of 2021, they actually found out that the number one vocation expressed by Gen Z was YouTuber. Number one job that most Gen Zs want is a YouTuber. Why? Because they have something to say and they want to say it. They expect to participate with your brand. They expect to show off and to make it their own. So customization and co-creation is fundamental. When you create these experiences online, expect to make it something that people want to opt into so that they spend more time, they share it, and they want to come back and discover it again. So think about that when creating these special experiences and give them a reason to come back again and again. Because if you get it right, the market is worth $143 billion, the Gen Z market. If you get it wrong, note that 43% will ghost you if they feel that they no longer feel that your brand is relevant, or worse, that your values aren't aligned. Now, finally, number 10, live content. Virtual is real business. Travis Scott had an online concert during the pandemic, and in total, his revenues, including merchandise sales, were over 20 million US dollars. His previous high in terms of earnings for any one single concert, 1.7 million. So that means virtual can be real business. And some 88% of people who attended a concert in 2020 online said they would continue to do so because they enjoyed it that much. The more realistic they become, and the more we advance the medium, in other words, exploiting it for what it does best, that's when it gets exciting. And so I think this is a tremendous opportunity. And here, Media Monks has done a lot of work, and we're super excited to continue to do so with the Pokemon. We did the Pokemalone concert. We did Childish Gambino. We have done some really exciting things in this space, and we feel that there are lots of possibilities ahead of us. What I can say is that for brands, this is not to be ignored. They expect, Gen Zs, millennials expect to be entertained. And so retailtainment is a thing. If you've got a brand or an ambassador, or you work with influencers, know that people expect to have more deeper relationships. It's called parasocial relationships. They start to believe that they know this person and they want to know them more intimately. So with the pressures of a 24/7 content-driven embodied internet, we're going to be expected to deliver much more content more rapidly than ever before. And so we're going to have to be able to turn those production times around very quickly and to make it magical and to really capture people's attention. So live content is a thing, and it's here to stay. So in short, I wanted to say the metaverse is now. We are all building it. And even though we might see only bits of it, I always like to think of this as the signal from the noise. We're seeing a lot of signals, but how do you put it together? We hope these 10 points have helped you really think about, create a framework around how you can start to approach, the metaverse for your brand and start converting some of your assets into real value for your company and real returns. Because the virtual economy has a great deal to offer, and it's very exciting to get in and create these exciting, magical, and beautiful experiences. I know that we at Media Monks are super excited about it, and I hope you are too. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.